Peugeot has always been known for its small cars, some of the best in the business for decades. Think back to the 205 in the 80s, an icon. Then of course the super popular 206, the car I learned to drive in. From there we had the 207 and the more recent 208. But for the 2020s, Peugeot has decided to shake things up. Instead of going for a 209, Peugeot's given us an all-new 208, sharper, sleeker, and definitely posher, much posher. But is it the small car you should choose in this class? Well, let's dive in and find out. But first, give this video a grande likey, hit subscribe, and tap that bell button. Don't ask me why I said grande, just wanted to mix it up. The 2020's 208 shares next to nothing with the car it replaces. Everything's changed, inside and out, sleeker lines, modern touches, and it's even available in a fully electric version. But what may surprise you, there's no hot GTI version this time. Still, Peugeot lets you customize this 208 enough to reach some serious price points. The model we're talking about today is the top spec GT trim loaded with premium finishes and tech. But if you're looking for a more budget-friendly option, Peugeot offers trims like the Active Premium and Allure, which still come well equipped with alloy wheels, air conditioning, and an infotainment touchscreen. Now, here's something you don't get on the lower range models, these funky digital dials. Not sure how well you can see it on camera, but it has this cool 3D effect. It's futuristic but avoids being tacky or overdone. All the info you need is right there, and it's surprisingly distraction-free, unlike the setups you might find in some competitors. One thing that has carried over from the old 208 is the unique driving position. You get this low compact steering wheel, which gives the car a really sharp and agile feel on the road. But here's the catch. You have to look over the top of the wheel to see the dials. Now, my ideal position is usually a bit higher, but I had to drop it down to get a clear view. This setup isn't for everyone, so definitely try it out before you commit. Every 208 version comes with at least a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This GT model bumps it up to a slightly larger screen, but the system is basically the same across the range. It's got a nice, sharp display, but the responsiveness could be better. It's a bit laggy, plus beware, the climate controls are tucked in here as well, which isn't the most convenient. Build quality, surprisingly impressive, lots of soft touch materials, really giving it a premium feel. Even though the piano black plastic may pick up scratches over time, it still looks good and adds a touch of class. Now, while most cars in this segment have bulked up over the years, the 208 has kept its compact size, making it one of the smaller options out there. Great for zipping around the city, but it does feel a bit cramped in the back. If space is a priority, the Renault Clio and Volkswagen Polo are roomier alternatives. One plus though, the 208 now comes exclusively as a 5-door model, so getting into the back is easier, especially if you're dealing with child seats. Peugeot has made the most of the space inside though. There's a large cubby under the central armrest, some cup holders, and a handy tray up front. Just a heads up, the glove box is tiny in the right-hand drive models thanks to the fuse box position. Boot space. Let's take a look. You get 311 liters, which is pretty much on par for this class. It's a bit bigger than the Fiesta's 292 liters, but doesn't quite match the Clio's cavernous space. One nice perk though, if you go for the electric E208, you don't lose any boot space, so you're still getting the same 311 liters. And if you fold down the rear seats, you'll have just over 1,100 liters to play with. Now, onto fuel economy, emissions, and range. Peugeot remains one of the few brands that still offers diesel in the small car segment. Alongside the petrol engines and the electric motor in the E208, you can also get a super frugal diesel version. But let's be honest, if you're doing enough miles to make diesel the best option, you might want to look at something bigger, maybe a car more focused on cruising. Back to the driving experience though. This small steering wheel gives the 208 a darty, alert feel on the road. I'm used to it now, but going back to a standard steering wheel makes it feel like you're driving a giant bin lid. That said, it's not quite as controlled as a Ford Fiesta, and the stiffer suspension means it doesn't match the Clio for comfort. But here's a highlight, the 8-speed automatic gearbox. It's smooth and sleek, unlike the manual, which felt a bit vague. Oh, and I've got to mention the indicator sound. Oddly satisfying. I could almost make a whole video ranking indicator sounds. This one's definitely a favorite. Power-wise, this model has just under 130 horsepower, so it's no slouch. It'll do 0 to 62 in 8.7 seconds. But honestly, I'd suggest the 99 horsepower version to save a bit of cash. It's only slightly slower at 9.9 seconds and still offers this auto gearbox. And yes, you still get those satisfying indicator noises. On the fuel economy front, our model does about 51 miles per gallon with reasonable CO2 emissions. The mid-range petrol improves that slightly to 56 miles per gallon and 112 grams of CO2 per kilometer. If you're a company car driver, the electric E208 is the standout choice, with over 200 miles on a single charge, and it qualifies for the government's plug-in grant. Definitely a smart pick if you're looking to save on tax. So whether it's petrol, diesel, or electric, the 208 offers options for everyone. But does it have what you're looking for? Stick around and let's dive into more details as we hit the road. Alright, enough with the stats. Let's talk about some deal makers and deal breakers for the Peugeot 208. Deal makers. First off, the engine choice is fantastic. Whether you want petrol, diesel, or even fully electric, the 208 has you covered. And that bold exterior styling? It carries over beautifully into the interior. Top spec models even get those impressive big screens and 3D digital dials, adding a premium touch. Quality-wise, Peugeot has really stepped up here. The 208 might not be the cheapest super mini, but every version is reasonably cost-effective to run. Now, onto the deal breakers. The 208 is one of the smallest super minis, and it shows in cabin space. The Renault Clio, for instance, is roomier. Plus, if you're looking for top-notch comfort or the most fun drive, the 208 doesn't quite match the Clio's comfort or the Ford Fiesta's handling. It's a stylish choice, but maybe not the most practical in terms of space. So there you have it, the Peugeot 208. It may not be pure super mini perfection, but it's still a very likable car. Not as spacious as the Renault Clio, not as thrilling to drive as the Fiesta, but it's got style and checks off most boxes for what you need in a small car. And let's be real, it's easily the best looking of the bunch, isn't it?